Five, four, three, two, one. I'm John Miglash with the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Okay, we're going to dive right in today because I got a lot to cover. Okay, mobile ads trigger consumer responses in milliseconds. And the reason I wanted to cover this is not that that's new. If you read Confessions of an Ad Man, written in the 1960s, I believe, by David Ogilvy, you'll hear him say that you want to get people's attention with the headline in an ad. And if you're advertising incontinence medicine, then say, do you suffer from incontinence? So that you get their attention right off the bat. That's what David Ogilvy said way back. And I'm sure it's in Scientific Advertising. See scientificadvertising.com. So she says it's so important in milliseconds you get an emotional reaction to mobile ads. And it's so funny because she says it's important to stand out. The main message and attention-grabbing elements should appear within the first 1 or 2 seconds, or even before. Now, sorry, but in language, the first 1 or 2 seconds are the first 1 or 2 seconds. You can't go before that unless you can travel back in time, which you can't. So right away, this thing, I love these. I don't know, where's this? This is mobile. This is bizreport.com. Anyway, mobile marketing, according to mobile marketing. So you can't go before the first second. You can't put an ad up before the first second. 6 seconds should do an ad that's 6 seconds, but maintain high quality of content. They ask, does it matter, that YouTube is on the desktop, and they say, no, you still need to be this quick. Well, okay, so we've spent too much time on this already. Advertisers asked New Zealand. This is interesting because I thought it was going to be the consumers, but it's the advertisers in New Zealand have written to the New Zealand Prime Minister, said we need regulations. And this is happening in the UK big time. And said nothing's been done by Facebook to ensure the dreadful events such as occurred in Christchurch cannot be live streamed again. They said they proposed some regulations, and one was that social network executives be personally responsible for harmful content on platforms. That sort of takes the fun out of having a corporate structure. If you can be liable for whatever happens on your network that you didn't have anything to do with, but couldn't stop, not right away. Facebook said they took down about 1.5 million versions of the live stream from New Zealand. So it's not like they didn't try. But one would be to make them personally responsible. Bad idea. It's like blaming the CEO of a car company because somebody runs down people with a car. You just can't do that. You can't have a civilized country and blame people for other things. There was another idea that they came forward. They said you should not be able to live stream YouTube unless you have 1,000 subscribers. Another super bad idea because you can buy 1,000 subscribers in a day without any trouble at all. I have 200 videos or more on YouTube that I've live streamed. Today is my 100th video on Periscope, so it's around 100 live streams. And you can get a pretty good idea of my corpus and my ideas there. That is harder to do. It's hard to do 100 straight days of live streaming because you can buy subscribers. This is a terrible idea. And even after all that, I only have about 350 subscribers, I think. And really, that goes back to 2012 when it was easy to get subscribers. But I like legit subscribers. So just terrible ideas. Terrible ideas. And it's a good question what can be done. Because live streaming is powerful. You can... Mike Cernovich you've probably heard of, but he got his start going to the Democrat National Convention a couple of years ago and just live streaming the demonstrations that the Sanders people were doing. No other network was covering it. That's how he got started. He didn't even care. He's just getting up in his hotel room and he looked down and there was thousands of people marching by. And when he got to the convention, all the cameras were facing a spokesperson and not facing the crowd. And so he turned around and said, this is where the action is. So it's good. Live streaming is great. There's a lot of positive about it. But, when the news decides not to cover it. Anyway, some bad ideas there. Okay, so in that setting, we See how we string these ideas together? All from today's news or yesterday. Facebook is going to clearly explain how it uses consumer data after facing EU pressure. See, there was more pressure over there. Okay, and they're going to clearly explain how they use the Facebook data. And they want to make sure that users will clearly understand that their data is being used to sell targeted ads. Facebook, it explains, makes money by selling targeted ads. Then why aren't they? Why do I get such weird stuff in my Facebook feed? Not very well, but hey, it's better than, it's better than, what was I watching the other day? I was watching something on, I think it was ESPN or something, and I got these, my kids, my daughter got married, and she said, do you have a Pinterest account? I said, yeah, for one of my clients. So they were looking at prom dress, wedding dresses and hairdos, and I'm getting prom dress ads. It's like, oh my, can't you tell it what an outlier is? No, you can't. Okay, so Facebook is going to amend its policy on liability, so it says I'm not negligent if somebody else does something wrong and is a third party. Power to unilaterally change, they're going to get more power to unilaterally change terms and conditions. Rules on temporary retaining content deleted by consumers. That's a difficult one. We're wrestling with that right now, because if a consumer comes and says, I don't want you to ever mail me again for a mailer, for a cataloger, the way we do that is we keep their name and we make sure that we never mail them again. But with the GDPR and CCPA regulations, they want you to delete the person. Well, if you delete the person, you can't help it if they turn up in some other rented list that you now use. So the only way to prevent them from being remailed is to keep track of who wants to be remailed. But that's not the way the regulation reads. So somebody has to keep temporarily deleted content in order to make sure that what they want is what they get. Anyway. Okay, here's a great one. Alexa listens to conversations. Did you know that? If you didn't know that, that's why I don't have Alexa. Of course, now I've got Cortana on my Windows 10 machine, which is stupider than dirt, because it's stupid voice recognition coupled with Bing, which I never use. This information helps us train our speech recognition and natural language understanding systems. And that's about all it says. But if we go over here, we're going to get to the machines. Machines shouldn't have to spy on us to learn. The headline really says, machines have to spy on us to learn. And there's some great content in here, but the bottom line is, it explains how encryption keys, cryptography keys, public cryptography keys were created. It says we need a new breakthrough in encryption, one that fundamentally changes the rotten trade-off we now make between privacy and AI. One of the things that it says is that Google Translate works by chewing through billions of words of existing translated text. That's very misleading. No. What Google Voice Recognition did to learn voice recognition was it kept track of the corrections. So that if you said, I'm going to the ball game, and it put up, I'm going to the ballpark, and then you changed it to ball game, because maybe there was no park, or maybe it was soccer. So when you did that, Google saved that. And IBM worked for about 17 years trying to get voice recognition to work, and they never could. And I talked to one of the guys who worked on it, and he said, well, we didn't have that amount of data. We just didn't. If we would have had that access to data, we would have been fine. I'm out of time again, and I didn't get to Mark's thing. I'll have to do another show. Right now, I'll do another show. Yeah, we'll air it this afternoon, Mark. I know you're waiting to see what I have to say. Anyway, so it's a requirement. But, we've been working on machine learning since 1994. We built our first model for the Hudson Bay Company. And I never get to see what consumers purchased what and what variables. I get to play with the variables. I only work in aggregate. I don't understand why this is such a big deal, because you can just work in aggregate. It's pretty. There's no point to looking up people, because an individual response is basically nonsense. You need to get aggregate response, and that's how machines learn, and that's how we do it. I mean, watch my 5 tests for machine learning variables. I think it's pretty good. Anyway, like and share. Have a great day.